Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over how to raid as a rogue. So we're going to be going over what you need to be doing, how you can increase your DPS, and a few tips that other rogues might not know about that might give you the edge. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was threat. I'm seeing a lot of rogues not taking advantage of the fact that you have both feint and vanish. And I think Anixia is the perfect fight to highlight this, so I have a Anixia clip going here. And you can see that I'm going to give the tank a little bit of time to just set the boss in place, but then I'm going to start doing full damage. And besides fainting off cooldown at the start, I'm keeping up slice and dice, I'm backstabbing, I'm doing as full damage. And this is what you should be doing as a rogue as well. You just want to feint at the start to reduce your incoming threat. And you can see here there was a big threat lead, so I actually didn't even feint off cooldown there. So I'm just able to do, and if we pause here, you can see all the rogues right now, rogues and hunters that can drop threat are way above everyone else because everyone else is worried about pulling threat from the boss and they're saving all of their abilities for phase 2. So this is what you need to be doing as a rogue. Do as much damage as you can while everyone else is like waiting for threat. So right off the bat, you're doing full damage. But then like this is if you notice right here, if you see my threat meter, I'm watching it closely as I'm raiding, and our tank is dangerously close to all of the rogues here. And you want to be extra careful because feint is not always 100% accurate with threat meters. So right here, I'm going to vanish as soon as I see that the tank got knocked back by Anixia and lost a lot of threat. I'm immediately going to vanish here because you do not want to get in the danger zone. You don't want to pull the boss. And yep, here's vanish. And then as soon as I vanish, I now have the green light to do as much damage as I want. I started a little slow with the feints to make sure I didn't pull aggro, but then I vanished, and now I'm in good shape to do full damage the rest of the fight. So that's what you want to be doing to manage your threat. You never ever want to stop damage as a rogue. If you have too much threat, you either should vanish or you didn't start fainting soon enough. So you should never ever stop damage as a rogue. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to manage your threat. Another thing I see a lot of rogues doing wrong is their usage of cooldowns. So when you're playing rogue and raid, you're going to be playing combat most likely with Adrenaline Rush and Blade Flurry. And so you have some really good cooldowns as well as like Thistletea that you can take advantage of to do a lot of burst damage. And so you want to use your cooldowns at a good time. And so on first thought, you might want to pop like all the cooldowns on pull. But you're going to see for some fights that is not a good strategy. So for example, against Magmadar, you can see some rogues already have pressed Blade Fury. You have like the animation here. And you don't want to do this because Magmadar has a fear. And so as soon as the fight starts, if you pop all your cooldowns, you're going to get feared. And even though we did have Tremor Totems go down, it's not instant. And so by the time the Tremor Totem cleansed the fear and I get back to the boss, it's been, 3 or 4 seconds. And so if I had popped all my cooldowns, I could have lost, maybe a third of the effect of the cooldowns. And that's a pretty big deal. So you want to be really careful that against bosses that use these effects, that you wait to use your cooldowns till after they use it. So you can see as soon as I get back to the boss, because he just feared, I know I am safe to pop all my cooldowns. So now I pop all my cooldowns and I know for certain that I'm going to be able to use them without getting CC'd during their duration. So that's what you want to be doing with your cooldowns. Now, there's another way that you can take advantage of your cooldowns, and that is by using procs. Now, I don't really have a great example of me doing this, but I do have an example of when I should have done this. So, for example, the times you want to be thinking about using your procs in synergy with all of your cooldowns are going to be against bosses where there's pretty much no mechanics. So most guilds, when they're killing Gar, just all of the melee just attack Gar, and so they don't really have to do anything. So Gar is a perfect boss for when you want to wait until you get like a proc. Now the biggest proc is going to be like Crusader, at least in early phases of Classic. That's going to be one of the the typical proc that you're going to wait for to pop all your cooldowns. So you can see I popped all my cooldowns right now, and had I waited about 15 more seconds, I would have had a Crusader proc, and all of my cooldowns would have benefited from, right here, you can see I get my Crusader proc. All of my cooldowns would have benefited from the extra 100 attack power had I just been more patient with my all my cooldowns. So if you are fighting a boss that does not have any sort of CC, so you can kind of use your cooldowns whenever, I would advise waiting for a Crusader proc to take advantage of the bonus attack power. And for now, it's Crusader. As more and more items are introduced, there's going to be other procs that increase your damage for a certain time interval. And it's the same way with those items. When they proc, you want to take advantage of them by popping all your cooldowns, just to double up on the bonuses. So another really important factor when playing Rogue is making sure you keep up your slice and dice at all times. And kind of related, you want to use your combo points efficiently, and you want to use your energy efficiently. So there's a few things that should happen during a fight, especially a fight like Golemag I'm going to show here, where you're auto-attacking 100% of the fight. Like you don't have to, for example, stop auto-attacking to run away from something. And so in a fight like this, I'm going to aim to never waste energy, never waste a single combo point, and have a 100% slice and dice uptime. So in order to do that, right when you're starting the fight, your very, very first ability should be a combo point spender and then slice and dice. Now here, because I crit an ambush and I kind of was risking it a little bit to attack this early, I feint as my first or second global, and then I slice and dice. But I get up slice and dice really quickly, and then the rest of the fight, you want to maintain slice and dice. So I'm going to keep spending combo points. I had to vanish a little early because I needed to drop threat, but right as my slice and dice fell off, I applied another one, and then you just use your combo point spenders. And so there's not a whole lot going on. It's a little more complicated if you're playing sword, but really you should be able to focus on your combo points. And like here, you can see I have 5 combo points. I have 4 seconds on the slice and dice. It's up to you what you guys prefer to do here. I went for the eviscerate, and then I just reapplied slice and dice with a lesser slice and dice. You could have also done the opposite and slice and diced, and then had a longer slice and dice, and then built up combo points, and then would have had an eviscerate. It's kind of just depends on the order. But you can see 2 seconds before my slice and dice fall off, I reapply it, and I'm just spamming my backstab to make sure I don't waste any energy and you don't waste any combo points. So you want to be eviscerating if you have slice and dice up, and your combo points, like right now, I have 10 seconds on the slice and dice, so I eviscerate. Otherwise, I would start wasting combo points if I were to like keep backstabbing, waiting for slice and dice to come up. So it's pretty simple, but you just want to make sure you always have slice and dice up. The one exception is at like a very end of the fight. So you can see here, I decided instead of reapplying slice and dice, I wanted to go for an eviscerate. Now, in the heat of the moment, you have to make a decision. In this case, would it have been better to do slice and dice? Maybe a 1 combo point slice and dice would have been better, but it's up to you to decide. And fight got sketchy at the end there. But anyway, so that's how you want to use your combo points on a really simple fight. But I also want to go over how to use slice and dice and how to use your energy efficiently on fights where you're running out. So I wanted to go over an example of where you have to run out during a fight and you can't auto attack the entire duration, and that kind of changes how you want to apply your slice and dice. So for example, against Ragnaros, melee have to get out for a decent portion of the fight. You're going to be running in and out, and so a lot of the time you spend is just going to be sitting there, and so you want to use your slice and dices differently. So for example, I pop all my cooldowns early so that they refresh, and I applied a short slice and dice, but even then half of it was wasted. But I'm going to wait until melee can go back in, and then you can see me applying my slice and dice early so that my combo points go back to 100 before I come in, and I'm just going to be doing small slice and dices throughout the fight, and preferably applying them before I even get back in melee so that my energy regenerates back to full. So slice and dice isn't costing energy. So here, with 5 seconds left on slice and dice against a normal boss, I would be slice and dicing here. However, because it's Ragnaros and I know a 5 combo point slice and dice isn't going to be wasted, I'm going for the eviscerate here. So I eviscerate, and you can see slice and dice just fell off, and then melee has to get out. So had I slice and diced, it would have been wasted throughout this entire duration here. And we're able to go back in pretty quickly, but still, that's a decent bit of slice and dice wasted. So, but I still, right away, I reapply it. So I do a spender, and then I get back slice and dice. So you want to do these short slice and dices right when you get back to fighting the boss. And don't apply another slice and dice, as you're going to have to run out and waste the duration. So you can see my slice and dice is about to fall off, and we're running out. So I got a perfect timing on that last slice and dice. So that is how you want to be using your slice and dice in fights where you are not able to auto attack the entire fight. Another thing I want to mention really quick, for combat swords players, I don't have any footage of this because I've been rating as daggers, but for you combat swords players, there is another way to increase your damage, and that's by using your Sinister Strike at the opportune time so that you get your sword spec procs to efficiently, I guess, reset your auto attack timer. So if you don't know how this works, basically the short description is that whenever you press your Sinister Strike, there's a chance it procs sword specialization. And if you do indeed proc sword specialization, that is going to cause your attack to, your next attack to be replaced with the additional attack from the sword specialization. So what this means is if you press your Sinister Strike right as you just finished your auto attack, you're going to get an additional attack, and you're not going to prevent the auto attack that was about to go out. You're not going to essentially overwrite it. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, there's a lot of videos out there on how to do this for as a sword rogue. So I just wanted to mention that as another thing you can do to increase your damage. Another thing you can do to increase your damage is to use consumables specific to the boss. So there's going to be certain bosses at which, a consumable item that you can get is going to really help. So I didn't have it ready, but you can see here I used a restorative potion against Lucifron. That way, once I get cursed, I will not suffer from the double energy cost. And so some of these like debuffs can be really bad. The one Lucifron does doubles all your energy costs and causes you to, if you're a dagger rogue, you can't even cast your backstab, for example. But it's bad for any rogue to get cursed by some of this stuff. So if you have a restoration pot, it will it'll eliminate that. There's also other bosses. For example, you can use a free action potion against Gehennis. There's tons as different phases roll out. There's going to be certain consumables that you want to research to use to increase your damage. But Lucifron's a good example. Get a restorative pot for him, and you'll do a significant amount more damage. The last thing I want to talk about is maybe the single most important thing that you can do while raiding, and that's survive. When you're raiding, it's really important that you don't die, and there's a lot of reasons, right? The first reason is that when you die, you no longer do damage. So you're obviously going to lose DPS by dying. But also, when you are dying or you are, even just taking unnecessary damage, you're putting a strain on the healers, and you're potentially costing your group healer mana and also, healer attention. If they're casting a heal on you, they're not targeting it on the tank. So you need to be using your potions, you need to be using your bandages, you need to be avoiding everything that you possibly can. Do everything you can to stay alive during fights, and it's going to help a lot. But there's another reason that a lot of people forget about, and a big reason why you don't want to die, and that's world buffs. And this becomes an issue even on trash. A lot of people sometimes aren't really too careful on trash, and they forget that if you die, you're going to lose your world buffs. That's going to cost a lot of damage throughout the whole raid. So once you have your consumables running, your world buffs, it's pretty costly to die, as you have to refresh the consumables and you can't get those world buffs back. So the most important thing that you can do while raiding is to stay alive, don't die, and it's really going to make a big difference. So those are all my suggestions on how you can do more damage in raid and just overall be a better raider. If you have any other suggestions on things you can do in raid, put them in the comments below.